Hello everybody, good morning everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. My name is Andy Stokes. I'm the business lead for international work at the Energy Systems Catapult, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you here to the webinar today to talk a little bit about our ITES program, to introduce you to the kind of support it can provide, and to answer any questions you have and give you a bit of information about the background and so on. So I think we have about an hour. We're going to hear from a couple of different voices today. We're going to outline a number of different elements. Here's the agenda on screen. So in a minute, I will pass to a recorded video from a British High Commission in New Delhi. After that, we'll come back to me to talk a little bit about the ITES program, the background to it, how it came about, what we're doing. Then we'll overview the kind of support that SMEs that come forward and apply to ITES can expect to have. After that, we'll hear from our partners at Zintio, who are partnered with us on this particular call. They'll tell us about their Energy Leap program in India, which is specifically focused on hydrogen. So of particular interest to hydrogen SMEs. Then we'll hear a little bit from my colleague, Amy Davis, about the actual application process. And finally, we'll have some Q&A at the end to answer any questions anybody has. And there should be a Q&A box that you can put those questions in, and we'll come to them at the end. Also, just to note for everybody, we are recording this session so you can access it later if needs be. Brilliant. So without further ado, I'd like to move to the next slide, and we're going to hear from Sarah Fallon, the Regional Director for Science and Technology at the British High Commission in New Delhi, to just say a few opening words about ITES and our initiative.
Hello, my name is Sarah Fallon. I'm Regional Director of Science and Innovation and Tech based in the British High Commission in New Delhi. I'm really excited to be a part of the ITES initiative. This is a cornerstone programme that's being supported by the Government of India, the UK government, in partnership with leading academic institutions like IISc Bangalore. Why get involved? Why does it matter? Well, we think that ITES is a really exciting initiative, bringing together the brightest minds in both countries to tackle global decarbonisation challenges. We're really excited about the roundtable. This is the first phase in getting some exciting bids moving. We want lots of industry players to be involved, and we know that a lot of industry, both in the UK and India, have footprints in both countries. So this is why we want as many people to come forward and to be a part of this as possible. We look forward to working with you as this exciting programme evolves. Thank you.
Great. So that was Sarah Fallon, who's been a huge support to the programme and was actually instrumental in setting up ITES and the wider initiative behind it. And that's what I'll talk to now, if we go to the next slide, please. So ITES itself is part of a wider government-to-government initiative between the UK and Indian governments that's been signed off by the science ministries in each country to create the UK-India Net Zero Innovation Virtual Centre. The idea here is that this centre will get stakeholders on both sides, on Indian and the UK side, from academia, from the private sector, but also innovators, to look at specific net zero challenges together. And that by doing so, we can find more efficient solutions, we can help businesses kind of collaborate, work together in the different markets and so on. And the initiative, this is the umbrella initiative under which ITES sits. But there are three current pillars under the Net Zero Centre. There's decarbonising manufacturing processes, which is led by the High Value Manufacturing Catapult in the UK. And this is focusing mainly on pharmaceuticals at the moment. The third one that you can see on the screen there is hydrogen systems. This is being led by the British High Commission. And the second one is ourselves, innovating for transport and energy systems, which I'll talk a little bit more about now. So ITES is what we refer to innovating for transport and energy systems, which is a bit of a mouthful as ITES. And ITES is looking to identify and bring solutions to some of the challenges around clean transport and transport decarbonisation and the energy systems around that. So it's led by the Energy Systems Catapult ourselves in the UK, but we have key partners on the Indian side, such as the Indian Institute of Science. And as I said before, it has this government backing. It's has a base of this MOU between both the UK and Indian governments. And it's built on a long kind of history of collaboration between the two countries. And for example, a previous Energy Systems Catapult project that was called Innovating for Clean Air, that ran successful trials for innovators in Bangalore. And that really paved the way for ITES and what we're trying to achieve here. If we can move to the next slide, please. So some of the things ITES is, to look at some of the things ITES is trying to achieve, it's good to see some of the obstacles to innovation. I'm sure all of you are aware that there are huge challenges, but there are also lots of great innovations out there already. And some of the challenges to bringing these to scale, bringing these to market and getting these in the mainstream, I'm sure you're all familiar with, but things like lack of resources, so budgets, it's difficult to find funding for innovation in some places. Also, particularly in the Indian context, we've heard from lots of stakeholders that they've seen many reports about what needs to be done, but they want to see innovation programs actually delivering things. They want to see deployment and actual innovation getting into the mainstream. There's also a bit of a tendency, I think, to not take a whole systems approach in looking at these things. So, for example, historically, a lot of the time you find a solution and attempts have been made to fit that solution into lots of different contexts, whereas it's not necessarily the right solution for the wider energy system. And obviously innovation is risky. It's corporates and large players, they may want to do innovation, but they're worried about the bottom line and they're worried about releasing funds for it. And innovation by its very nature will fail sometimes. So these are some of the challenges that ITES is trying to address a little bit and try to make easier for innovators. If we go to the next slide, please. So what we're trying to do is really linking research and innovators to real market and industry needs. We've got lots of stakeholders on the India side. We've heard firsthand from them about their needs and challenges. And we are trying to address this whole systems challenge as well. Whenever we're mapping challenges, whenever we're supporting innovators, we're taking the whole systems approach into account. As we say, it's all about leveraging expertise from both countries. And we're really trying to use the work we do and the pilot projects and the demonstrations we get involved in and we support to provide evidence for the wider energy system, for government, for policy, for think tanks, and so on. And as a not-for-profit organisation in the UK, and as I said, one of our lead partners in India is the Indian Institute of Science, we feel that we're well placed to play this credible broker role as an independent broker, and we can evaluate innovations on their merit with no vested interest and so on. If we move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this outlines the programme a little bit and how the process works. So we've spent a lot of time on the challenge identification process, challenge identification stage. We've engaged with hundreds of Indian stakeholders and worked with Indian partners to identify various transport and energy system decarbonisation challenges. And then we're trying, through calls such as the one we're talking about today, to attract leading innovators who can go some way to address some of those challenges. And then we get to the second box. So the selected innovators will receive support that best fits where they are. So if they're an early stage innovator, this might be focused more on CR&D collaborations or just linking with academia or early stage partners in India to help them move up the TRL. If they are close, if they're however closer to deployment, they're already commercially viable in the UK and so on and so forth. Our support will really focus on helping them make connections and do pilot projects and demonstration projects in India, because we see this as a key part of unlocking this innovation challenge. If we can smooth that process a little bit, it's much more likely to get take up from Indian corporates and others. And the idea of this process is that by doing this, we'll increase visibility about the innovation challenges, but we'll create this pipeline of innovation and innovative solutions which can be deployed and are ready to scale. If we go to the next slide, please. Just to say, we're now going to watch a short video to hear a little bit more about ITES from a number of different voices. Thank you.
ITES, or Innovating for Transport and Energy Systems, is an exciting bilateral initiative backed by the UK government and the Indian government. And what we're trying to do is increase visibility and understanding about some of the transport and energy system challenges out there in terms of decarbonisation. We want to bring partners together to work collaboratively to find solutions.
A center like ITES can play a very important role in guiding policies, in guiding technologies, in guiding solutions that would help transport sector to address this requirement, this need for reducing their carbon emissions.
We're bringing the brightest minds together from both sides to tackle lots of global challenges.
It is taking the best ideas from industry, from academia, and helping them work together to create new products and services.
Energy Systems Catapult have been doing a lot of work with India over the last few years, specifically focusing around innovations in air quality and electric vehicles. So what we're looking to do is to support innovations that are close to market, where the user base is starting to build. But we're looking to address as well innovations that are further away from being ready for the market.
We want more collaborations, more targeted partnerships. We want industry to articulate what their challenges are, and we want to create more funding opportunities for the researchers to deploy early stage technologies.
You need multidiscipline expertise to be able to comprehensively address the issues and the development goals that we are trying to focus.
Well, put simply, we will not tackle this challenge if we don't work together to solve it. And that means collaboration. It means sharing of ideas. It means opening up of new markets, which is why this project is so exciting.
Great. So I hope you're all able to hear that fine, and hopefully that gives a bit of a wider introduction as to ITES and the stakeholders involved, what they're trying to achieve. And we've been running for just over a year now, and I just wanted to highlight some of the kind of impacts we've had so far and some of the milestones to date. So we've currently already got 19 UK SMEs going through the programme, and of them actually 6 are having pilot projects scoped or have already kicked off pilot projects. So that's really, really great to see. And we've been able to support that because we've done so much engagement with Indian partners. As you can see here, over 280 different stakeholders engaged on the Indian side, and really made use of our Indian partners and Indian local connections to develop those opportunities. But as well as the pilot projects, the other 13 SMEs are all receiving bespoke support to help them along their way. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute as well. And finally, to highlight here, one of the Indian partners that we've been working with is Zintio. They have the Energy Leap program, which we'll hear about in a few moments. And they're a key partner. They've been supporting this call and of a particular interest to hydrogen SMEs. So we'll hear from our colleague Prasanth Varanasi a few more details on that as well. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about the support we can offer to the SMEs. So there are a few key things. First of all, to outline the objectives of the support. So really, we're after firms that have a solution to one of the challenges we've highlighted, but also have a particular reason to be looking at the Indian market as opposed to others. And what we were hoping to do is increase visibility of the market for those SMEs and help to prepare them for the market, connect you to opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't be able to access, and create these networks for you to explore the market, and also develop tools and reports and bits of research and bespoke bits of output that will support you and help your business for the Indian market, but also do some training and incubation work that prepare you for other markets as well. So we'll work with you on your business plans, on pitching, on route to market strategies and so on, which will be valuable for you even if the Indian market ends up not being the right one for you. They'll still increase, hopefully, your business and commercial acumen in the wider context. But the key thing is, if India is right for you and if it's the right market for you after we've worked through the program, we want to help you scale in that market. We want to help you make your first deal or for your first demonstration project to prepare what you've got for the Indian market. And we'll talk through on the next slide a few more aspects of the support. It's a phased support program. It's generally, the first 2 are 3 months each generally, but there's a little bit of flexibility there. The first one is all about preparing. So this will have a mixture of masterclasses and sessions to, as I say, to assess your needs, to help you think of things from a whole systems perspective, to think about your are you ready for export? Think about some of the competitors. What's your value proposition? How do you pitch it? That kind of thing. And the second phase is about the bespoke support. So coming out of the first phase will be identifying what do you really need? Who are the kind of partners you need? Who do you need to be linked to? Or what kind of research do you need? Do you need to know more about standards? What kind of things is it? Maybe in-country visits. Maybe you're ready for a pilot project. And the second stage is all about helping you with that bespoke element. And then the ongoing support is when those of you who are having the most success and are still dedicated and interested to the Indian market, we will provide ongoing support, linkages to other UK government agencies, check-ins and so on, to make sure that you're getting those regular touch points. We're continuing to support your journey into the Indian market. If we go to the next slide, please. So this is an idea of the rough timeline. We tend to we're looking to split our SMEs into cohorts, which are typically between 8 and 12 kind of SMEs strong, and we'll time them at different stages. And this is really a discussion with SMEs based on their capabilities, or not their capability, their availability, resources, their own timing, because they might have key things, investment rounds and so on, which mean they're going to be very busy. So it's a conversation, but we'll have a cohort start in April, another cohort start in July. And as I said, it's typically 6 months, so 3 months for preparing for the opportunity, 3 months for the bespoke market support, and then the ongoing support will run for a longer period. The reason this cuts off at the end of March 2025 is that currently that's the current end date of the program, but we're very confident and we're looking to extend it beyond then. If we go to the next slide, please. Great. So as I said before, one of our key partners for this is Zintio. They've collaborated with us around this particular challenge call. They have a wealth of experience in the Indian context, but particularly their Energy Leap program is focusing on hydrogen. And at this stage, we're going to hear a few words from Prashanth Varanasi, who works at Zintio and is a key collaborator of ours. So over to you, Prashanth.
Oh, wonderful to be here. Thanks, Andrew, so much for inviting me to this opportunity to speak with the stakeholders and ITES and the startups that are relevant for this program. In terms of the opportunity with Energy Leap and the synergy that we have with the ITES program, I'd love to probably give maybe first an overview about what Energy Leap is, what we are trying to do it in India, and the hydrogen ecosystem, focusing on that sector, and talk about synergies in terms of how the ITES startups can leverage or be part of the ecosystem of Energy Leap that we have in India here. So I'll just quickly share a few slides that I have. Show you the in terms of what the program structure looks like and how we want to look at the opportunities here. Just give me a moment. Sorry, if I may request the admin team, am I able to share the screen? If
Tabitha, are you able to give Prashant access to that?
Could you just cancel it and reshare, Prashant? It was, we did do it, but I think it turned out okay, approved. That should just be coming up now.
No, it says there's some error at the to set it. Maybe I'll just email it to you. Sorry about the apologies for this. Give me a second to fix this up.
Just send it to me, Prashant, and I can present it.
So while the screen comes up, maybe let me just talk about Zintio first, the organization. We are an advisory firm based out in UK, but with offices in India as well. And our focus is to work with large corporates and industry partners on new growth models. When we say new growth models, it's the intersection of commercial viability and the business opportunity, but also be able to look at the impact on both the planet side as well as the people side. So that's what we call it, the planet positive growth. How can we enable that with businesses coming together, working with startups, working with government, working with the right stakeholders across the value chains we work in. So all the sustainability related themes are something that we have a focus on. And we work in a coalition or a program-based structure. And that's where, the collaboration with Catapult and ITES program also comes into play for us on Energy Leap, to help understand in terms of how the UK and India collaboration can be unlocked and help in enabling the clean hydrogen ecosystem across. And one of the key pillars that we are looking at is how can we support startups in the overall scheme of things and help them connect with the right industries, right investor community, so that they can unlock opportunities to work and scale in the Indian market as well as the global market for the clean hydrogen innovations and solutions that are sitting at the heart of this startup ecosystem currently. So that's a brief background, and we do have work across decarbonization, energy transition space, both in Europe as well as in India. But Energy Leap is a sector-specific program on clean hydrogen that we have. So in terms of while of course the slides come in, maybe I'll just talk about the focus of the objective of the program that we have is we wanted to look at this as a technology and a business accelerator program, where of course we are just an ecosystem enabler. We are not a typical incubator or an accelerator where we are looking at any commercial interest or taking stake in this thing. So that's why the model is quite unique compared to the typical accelerators and incubators that are out there, where we are along with Catapult support, we are being the ecosystem enablers and bringing together the partners on this front. So what we are aiming to do is we want to work in a very bespoke consulting way with each of the startups and provide them support across three pillars. How can we support in terms of technology commercialization? Because startups are looking for support between 3 to 8. There is a need for technology validation, commercialization, and testing. So that is one of the core pillar, and also looking at the hydrogen ecosystem. That is a space that requires support, because everybody is in its nascency and doesn't understand the dynamics of how this is going to impact commercially in the long term. So that is a space, that is one of the core pillar that we want to support, bringing together the right engineering firms, the right industry partners and experts who can support startups to validate the technologies, but also create a pathway towards commercialization. So that is the first layer that we are looking at. Thanks. I think the slides have come up. So I've talked about the organization. Maybe we can just move a couple of slides after this. Yeah, maybe the next one. Yeah. So as I was saying, the challenge area for startups is commercialization, which clearly highlighted in this slide as well. Is there's a gap. There is a requirement for industry to support startups to understand, what commercialization means and what it takes for such a huge sector, because it's not a decentralized solution. It cannot be implemented in small scale. You have to look at the long-term vision of implementing large-scale commercial projects for this space. So how can we enable that? So with that market gap in mind, that is where the Energy Leap idea was born, and that is how we thought we should bring together the startup industry and the investor communities together. So if you can move to the next slide, please. So this is what Energy Leap is, where we have partners from across the ecosystem, from financing agencies, ecosystem enablers, partners like Catapult and the ITES program, venture capital firms, industry partners who have come together to unlock these opportunities, drive the innovations, and create the market for hydrogen both in India and globally. You can move to the next slide, please. So as I was saying, the three pillars. The first one was technology commercialization, supporting the startups to move towards a market readiness and commercialization phase. The second aspect to support startups for us is unlocking capital, because startups come from different various stages of growth, be it seed stage, pre-seed, Series A, Series B, or and various forms of capital that would be required along the journey. So how can we unlock capital that will support these startups to grow? And also at the same time to look at market creation, because without market creation, investors will not be ready to come to you and invest into them. So how can we bridge that gap as well, where we can work on various use cases and opportunities that we create around the market access, which will also help enable unlock the capital. But when these two can only come together when we have a robust product, and that is what a commercially viable product on the top requires. So it's the triangle of the synergy that we need to work together to make sure it's not just about the Indian market, it's about the whole hydrogen ecosystem itself. And so the Indian market also applies for this sector specific thing. If we move to the next slide. So what is it that we will support the startups with? I think there's a fantastic pipeline of startups and cohort companies that ITES program has built, and of which, if the relevant hydrogen startups that are there, I think you can look at two different work streams that we are looking at. One is a very early stage TRL solutions that are there. We provide the mentoring support both on technology, business, and capital side to help them enable move towards market readiness. On the accelerator front, where you have more robust technology that is available, which has a prototype or proven at a certain scale, but you want to go to the market and scale it up, we provide support on validating the technology, creating the pathways for commercialization. On the business front, how can we coach the startups on the founders in terms of doing their pitches or making the business model more robust, particular to a geography, in this case India, and also unlock capital, right, by connecting you with the right investors, right funding agencies, so that we can look at demonstration opportunities. So it's a synergy of a long-term journey, I would say, where we're not just looking at market-ready solutions. We want to nurture the startups from the get-go, because given the nascency of the space, from the get-go, and move them towards market readiness and unlock the right opportunities. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So this is what we've been doing for the last 7-8 months formally when we launched the program. We have around 20 plus startups who are actively receiving support from Energy Leap program, of which we have onboarded around 4 startups as of now. And we would want to definitely encourage and work with the UK startups under the ITES program to be part of it, understand the requirements that will be there, so that we can identify what are the niche areas under the pillars of support that we can extend on technology, business, and the capital front. And our goal for the program, along with all of our partners, is to indigenize the solutions, create low-cost solutions and innovations that are accessible to the market, that can be adopted by the industry at large scale, because it's a tough market. Hydrogen is a tough market, and it's still growing in a very early stages of its side. So there is a need for us to have such innovations to bring in the commercial opportunity as well as the scale at the same time. So with that in mind, we are gonna, if you go to the next slide, we are looking at opportunities across use cases. For example, there could be a fuel cell technology which is relevant for stationary applications with replacing diesel generators, or there could be production or utilization solutions that are useful for the steel sector or the refinery sector, and there could be blending of hydrogen that can be done with natural gas for decarbonation of the transportation space. So there could be various such use cases that our industry partners are quite interested in, and we want to work with startups from across the globe to come to India to look at these kinds of opportunities, test them out, validate, and then find avenues to scale. If you go to the last slide, maybe just one snapshot slide to give you a snapshot in terms of what is it that ITES and Energy Leap can work together. And of course, it's not just limited to this 6 pointers that are there. It is obviously dependent on the stage of the startup and the needs that you have. If you're looking at manufacturing support that you want to establish in India, yeah, probably we are a player that we can help you connect with the right players as well. You're looking for technology transfer and establishing your operations. You're looking for technology validation and commercialization support with R&D institutes or with an industry partner or an engineering firm. We can support on that front, because that is what will help you move towards commercialization phase as well. And of course, on the market front, to look at the right demonstration opportunities and identify the right use cases, and of course, connecting you with the right networks, right investor communities to unlock capital and to help you operate in the Indian market is what we can jointly work together with the ITES program and the hydrogen startups that are part of this initiative. So I'll take a pause there. Maybe I'll hand it over back to Andrew, and I'm happy to take any questions to answer at the end.
Thanks, Prashant. I think I'll actually jump in. So we've got a couple questions in the chat that I suggest we deal with now before going into the rest of the presentation. So I think I can display them on the screen. Does that show for everyone?
Yeah, I can see.
So yeah, if you want to just answer that one. I'm sorry if you did. I was paying attention to the slides.
Okay. Yeah, we've been in existence for almost 25 years now, initially based out of Norway. We are currently backed by a private equity firm called Leon Capital, and the corporate partners associate with us on a long-term basis through our coalitions and programs that we do. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. And then I'll display the other one. And I'm happy to jump in on this as well, Prashant. But
yes. So I think partly from a Zintio lens, I'll answer. Maybe you can come in from a ITES program point of view as well. I think we maintain strict confidentiality, and we bring in we put startups or technology providers first, and then our partners later, and all the exclusivity and everything relates stays with the startup, and it is at their discretion how they want to share the information. What we ask is only in terms of the challenges that a particular company is posing and how we can help address them. Only that information is what we seek for, and accordingly we work together in a more collaborative and a co-creation manner. So I think that is how we look at it.
Yeah, thank you. And sorry for those, I don't know if everybody can see it on the screen, but it does say if companies share confidential know-how with Zintio, where does that information go? Is there any potential perceived conflict of interest? And so, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. We definitely deal with each SME, what's the appropriate, confidentiality agreement to go in place, NDA, whatever. So we do make sure that everyone's comfortable before things are shared. And I can maybe take that one off. Okay, so thank you, Prashant. Tabitha, are you able to put my slides back on screen? Thank you very much. Thanks, Prashant. So I'm just going to briefly go into the application process, and I will put the link in the chat at the end. So if you look on our website, you will see for this challenge call, we have quite a number of technical focus areas that we are interested in receiving applications for. I won't read through everything here. They are on the website, and I'll put the link in. But obviously hydrogen we just talked about with Prashant and the potential collaboration there. But there's a large number of other areas: battery swapping, consumer engagement, public transport, charging, etc. So we're interested in any and all of these innovations. We will say, please do apply soon if you are interested. We've already had quite a number of applications, and we will close once we have a sufficient number. I don't have a close date yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the next few weeks. So please do apply soon if you are interested. And that specific process, you can visit the website. I'll put the link in the chat. Review the focus areas that I just put up on the screen. Complete the application. It's pretty short, pretty straightforward. Shouldn't take a ton of time. There is a supporting documentation PDF attached. Please do look at that for more information. We'll review the applications that come in, and if we think you're the right fit for ITES, we'll invite you for an interview. And then, assuming that both parties think, again, that you're the right fit for ITES, we will then start to assign your support package and develop that up, and we'll do a kickoff. And we'll, as Andy mentioned, we'll either bring you into the cohort kicking off in April or the one a couple months later, depending on a few things. If you have questions, you can email ITES directly. The email address is there on the screen, and it's also, I believe, on the website. And I think that's the end. So I'll just quickly pop the link in the chat and see if there's any other Q&As. So I don't see any other Q&As in there, so please do pop any questions in. And Andy, was there anything else we needed to bring up while we wait for questions?
Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Prashant, for your presentation beforehand. Thanks, everybody, for bearing with us with the slight IT technical issues. I think we've covered the main things there. Just to the last point, if I think you and Prashant covered it, but just to say, obviously, we'll put in place any NDAs people require for anything to ensure all parties are comfortable. So I think we have the first question coming up. Amy, if you don't mind reading it out.
Yes, there's actually one in the chat that I'll read first. And I've just realized that this is an ex-colleague of mine that's put the question in. Are bioenergy projects within scope of ITES?
So I think if we go back, can we go back to the previous slide to show the scope, the main focus area?
Oh, going the wrong way. Sorry.
Oops, no problem.
There we go.
There we go. So bioenergy is obviously not one of the core kind of focus areas that we've identified. It's not one that the stakeholders we've engaged in initially have flagged as an area. But I do know that India has really strong ambitions for biofuels and bioenergy. And actually recently we've had some really promising conversations with firms in that regard. So I wouldn't be discouraged just because it's not one of the kind of key focus areas. I think if India is interesting for you and you have an inkling that it might be the right market for your technology, I'd encourage you to apply. Although it's not one of the focus areas, I think there's a good chance we might take it on board if we judge it to be appropriate and suitable and an organisation we feel we can add value to. The previous time we did we ran this challenge call, we also had some applications from firms that weren't in the key focus areas, and we did end up moving forward with some of them. So I think if in doubt, please do apply.
So there's one in the Q&A. Is there going to be a networking forum or group?
So I think absolutely there'll be a number of different kind of networking opportunities. So I think there'll be, first of all, with the cohorts of SMEs, there'll be lots of opportunities for the SMEs to get together via masterclasses, workshops, and so on. We do run some of them in person. We found they have real value running them in person. And actually, you all may kind of relate to this, but one of the pieces of feedback we often get is that the connections between the SMEs and the cohort are often just as valuable as the connections they get in country, if you see what I mean. So we will encourage that. There'll be forums between the SMEs. There'll be opportunities to engage with Indian innovators as well. There'll be workshops and knowledge sharing sessions as we go on, and opportunities to present to wider audiences, and also in-market engagement. So just as an example, we are taking 4 of the current cohort of SMEs to India Energy Week next month, which is a really high-profile event in India. We're taking the SMEs out there. We've managed to arrange some stall space for them and so on and so forth. So there's lots of networking opportunities there as well. So yes, there'll be all kinds of different forums and groups that could give opportunities to share experiences.
I'm not seeing anything else in the chat or the Q&A. Give people a minute to pop stuff in there.
Hopefully, if we're not getting more questions through, this is a sign that we've done our job reasonably well and given people clarity. But as Amy said, there is an email address. Maybe we can go back to that slide, and there's an email address there that people can send questions through to. It doesn't look like we're getting any more questions, so we might finish up a little bit early and give some people some time back. So I think essentially this just as a kind of in closing, I think I'd just like to say, thank you very much for joining us. Apologies for a couple of IT issues, but I think we got there in the end. Hopefully it's been an informative session. Thank you for Prashant for speaking as well. The recording will be available, so if you want to watch back and check in on some details, but as we said, that you can always email questions and contact us about it if there's anything that's still not clear to you. And I'd say echo the point that Amy made. Although we don't have a precise closing date yet, we will close when we've got kind of the next cohorts onboarded, if you see what I mean. And I think we're getting there quite quickly. So I would I'd encourage everybody, if you think it might be for you, I'd encourage you to apply as soon as possible. We've tried to make the application process relatively light touch as well. So I'd encourage you to apply pretty soon, because I think the application, the challenge call will be closing probably in a few weeks' time. We might run another one later in the year, but there's no kind of set timing and guarantees on that at the moment. So we'd be keen for you. We'd encourage you to apply at this point, and also share with anybody else that you think this might be relevant to, if they're not already aware of it.
And I will jump in. I think it's closed, but I saw a question about will we share the presentations afterward? Yeah, I think we'll be able to do that with everybody that's attended. So
great.
I think that's everything that I'm seeing.
Great. Well, in this busy world, nobody really objects to getting a little bit of time back if a meeting finishes early. So again, I'd like to thank everybody. Thanks for our speakers and all the support in getting the session together. And please do get in touch if you have any questions, and please do apply. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk to you about ITES. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks very much.